All right, Tuesday means it's time for a sports Q&A here on Schleg Daddy TV. I do them every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. You can ask sports questions, fantasy football questions. The Tuesday and Thursday Q&As will be split up into two parts within the video itself. The first part will be sports questions, second part fantasy football, and then Sunday are exclusively reserved for fantasy football questions only. So let's get started with these. Thanks to you guys that sent your questions. This should go relatively quickly and smoothly, hopefully. UF Gator Chomp 93. Did the Cleveland Browns give up on the Brandon Weeden experience too soon? Um, Perhaps. Just because of the fact they did spend a first round pick on a quarterback, and less than 2 years in, they were already giving up on him. But then you also look at the fact that Weeden was already 29 when he was coming into the NFL, so maybe then he shouldn't have been a first round pick to begin with. Furthermore, you're bringing in a guy at age 29. While he might be young in football years, he is still 29 years of age. You don't have that window of, opportunity to say, hey, we give him time to grow, we give him time to learn and figure things out. At 29 years old, he needs to hit the ground running right there, right now. And you're talking about, every game that he didn't learn or he didn't get better, you just have to sit there and say the biggest problem with the experience was maybe them drafting him in the first round to begin with. And I will say this from my standpoint, that was a pretty bad miss on my part in terms of a talent evaluation. I don't know if I would ever spend a first round pick on a 29-year-old quarterback, but I had him rated much higher, obviously, than I should have. And, you you get a lot right, you get some wrong too, and I definitely was wrong about Brandon Weeden. But like I said, if you were going to draft him, then you need to roll with him more than you did. But that's the Browns for you. Sit there and draft a quarterback, and then 2 years later, you're drafting another one after you fired another head coach or two. Just the typical Cleveland Browns dumb shit. Duke THS. Now that EJ Manuel is benched, do you think it was a knee jerk reaction? In part, I think it was a knee jerk reaction because the Bills, and especially their coaching staff, are in full-on panic win-now mode because they're fearful that the new ownership group is going to want to clean house if they're not given a reason to retain the current coaching staff this season, which is a legitimate fear. So if you're the coaching staff, maybe you feel like Kyle Orton does give you a better chance to win at this moment. It gives you a better chance in what looks to be a wide-open AFC East to maybe sneak into the playoffs or maybe even, hell, have a chance at winning that division. I don't know how much better chance you have to win with a Kyle Orton as opposed to an EJ Manuel. Furthermore, whether a Marrone was huge on the drafting your EJ Manuel or not doesn't really matter because the fact is he was still a part of the process and he still was a part of the decision making. So, it's one of those things where I could see why they made the knee jerk reaction like they did because it was a knee jerk reaction. But I do also think that benching a guy in his second year when he missed quite a bit of his rookie season due to injury, so he pretty much has less than a year of actual starting experience still in the league, when you were still 2-2, I do think it was a knee jerk reaction, and I don't think it was done for the right reasons. I think it was a bad decision, and it typifies why the Bills haven't made the playoffs in the past 14 seasons. Alex Shirley 10. Are you going to make an EJ Manuel video? If so, I can't wait to see it. Yes, I will be making a video about the whole EJ Manuel situation along with the Raiders firing of head coach Dennis Allen. So both of those videos will be coming up very soon on this channel. I'll have plenty to say about it too. EMLDMYS, please. How good of a quarterback do you think Teddy Bridgewater can be? Well, from my standpoint, I think Teddy Bridgewater can be a very, very good NFL quarterback. I think he can become a franchise quarterback. I had him rated, mind you, as the #1 overall prospect in the 2014 NFL draft. So I'm very, very high on Bridgewater, and I think based off of what you saw in terms of the New Orleans game when he came in after Castle's injury, and you could tell the Vikings just had some life to him. And then obviously what happened Sunday where he led the Vikings to victory over the Falcons. I mean, it just shows you again, I guess, is that NFL head coaches are stupid. We talk about fans being stupid because they don't know. Well, clearly a lot of these coaches are stupid because there's a head coach that thought Matt Castle gave his team a better chance to be competitive and win football games than Teddy Bridgewater. Same thing with thinking Chad Henne was a better option over Blake Bortles. Same thing with thinking Kyle Orton is that much of a better option than EJ Manuel. I mean, these NFL head coaches, they're pretty fucking stupid. And I ain't even gotten to the Bill Belichick type of stupidity. And I'll probably do a video about that this week, too. But I think Bridgewater could be very, very good. I don't know if he'll ever be a top 5 or even top 10 quarterback in the National Football League, but I think he can be a franchise quarterback, and I think he can win you a lot of games. 35 Robert 16, is Michigan a basketball college now? Well, it most certainly isn't a football school. And I got to say this to all those Big Ten fans and to all those Michigan fans. There is perhaps not a more overrated college football program over the years than Michigan. I said it. Yeah, so what? Because it's the fucking truth. Yeah, I think Michigan's a basketball school now. They might like to think of themselves as a football school, but fuck Michigan, stupid ass program. Devin Throw, what are your thoughts on people who think the Cowboys could go 11-5 this season? My initial thoughts would be to tell them, whoa, 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 pump the brakes. 3-1 does not 11-5 make. There is still 3/4 of the season to go for them. And let's see if and when injuries start to come into the mix. Will the Cowboys be exposed for having a lack of depth on offense and or defense? But then they are also 3-1. They had an impressive Sunday night performance over the Saints. 3-1 is 3-1. But you also got to look at who the Cowboys have beaten too. They beat a bad Titans team. They beat a Rams team that really, frankly, gave the game away to them. And then they beat a Saints team that we all clearly see now was vastly overrated heading into this season. So what have the Cowboys really done to give you like that signature statement victory to say that they have the talent and the ability to go 11-5? I don't see that yet. I can sit there and say 8-8. Maybe I was off about them winning 5 or 6 games, but I'm not willing to say they're going to win 10 or 11. They still have a lot of ways look like an 8-8 team to me. Only time will tell, but yeah, I think that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here because they really haven't beat a quality opponent. The fact is that their defense still got burned kind of badly by the Rams. Their defense has played better than anticipated this year. And DeMarco Murray, to me, is an MVP candidate right now. But there's a lot of season left, and there's a lot of time left for the Cowboys to still be the Cowboys. I mean, how much different would the narrative be if they would have gotten blown out by the Rams like maybe they should have been in week number 3 and they were 2-2 right now? And like I said, that Saints win is more impressive in name because it's the Saints and there's Sean Payton and Drew Brees involved than it is in actual reality. The fact that the Saints offense isn't that explosive and they lack an identity in the running game of any kind, and their defense is the absolute drizzling shits. So let's pump the brakes a little bit here on the Cowboys. If they have a quality win or two in the next few weeks and they're sitting maybe at 6-3, then you can maybe talk about 11-5. Yeah. Chris S. Krager, could you see either of the NFL's 0-4 teams still being winless by Thanksgiving? Oh, sure. I would put my money a little bit more on Jacksonville winning before I would Oakland. Oakland's a fucking mess, and they're terrible, and they're old, and they're bad. And now Derek Carr is going to be out with injury probably for a little bit, so they get even worse. Are you going to go to Matt Schaub or Mike McGlynn? Oh, God. Oh, God. Let the Marcus Mariota watch begin for them. Tweet Ryan Abe. How valuable is J.J. Watt? J.J. Watt is incredibly valuable. You could see a situation where if the Texans win 10 games this year and maybe find a way to slide into the playoffs, there could potentially be some talk about J.J. Watt not only being Defensive Player of the Year, but it may be even more so the National Football League's most valuable player. Because I think when you look at J.J. Watt, you can't just measure his dominance strictly by statistics, but his statistics are still really damn good. I mean, you just understand the level of dominance and the way he changes the game as a 3-4 defensive end. I mean, this is impressive. You're talking about like Bruce Smith level impressive. And yeah, I don't throw around that praise very lightly. Comparing him to Bruce Smith, I mean, that's pretty beastly. So yeah, I think J.J. Watt is incredibly valuable, one of the most valuable players to his team in all the National Football League, and again shows how stupid it was for the Texans to take Mario Williams, #1 overall in 2006, because they got their franchise defensive end. Unfortunately, it was 5 years later in J.J. Watt, and they were able to get him with the 11th overall pick. How stupid does a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars look now for trading up to take a Blaine Gabbert one slot ahead of J.J. Watt? The Jaguars are still searching for a pass rusher, still searching for a defensive identity, still frankly searching for an identity as a franchise. Imagine if they would have traded up and gotten J.J. Watt instead. That's why certain organizations continue to find themselves in the positions that they're in. The fantasy football questions now begin. I only got a couple this time. I'm sure more will come as the week goes along. The Owens asks, is Maurice Jones-Drew worth picking up? I'm weak at running back. I have AP, Vereen, Sankey, CJ Spiller, and Moreno. Oh, God. Yeah, you are weak at running back. I'd have to assume once Ken Wisenhunt decides to stop being a dumbass and viewing Bishop Sankey as a guy that needs to perform like a ballet dancer, which about his footwork is about his footwork. No, you need to fucking run the kid. And shut up with your fucking footwork. You're stupid. Run the goddamn ball more, too. I'd assume Sankey will produce more as the year goes along. AP at this point might not see the field again, so you're going to get to the point probably pretty soon once middle of October comes where you're just going to drop him. CJ Spiller, timeshare with Fred Jackson. Yeah. Moreno, he'll be back soon, but Lamar Miller's done well in his absence, so that's probably a timeshare. Shane Vereen's in a timeshare. Of all the running backs, though, I don't think Maurice Jones-Drew is worth picking up. I mean, maybe if you're looking for a desperate running back need and you're maybe looking ahead, if a guy like Lorenzo Taliaferro is available, maybe that's a guy to go after for the Ravens. If you're truly desperate right now, maybe Jonathan Stewart, if you find out he's going to play in Week 5 because D'Angelo Williams will be out against the Bears. Who else? Jerick McKinnon of the Minnesota Vikings. There's one right there. Maybe Kyrie Robinson of the Saints just for week number 5, because I'm assuming Ingram will be back after the week 6 bye for the Saints. So there's options out there. I just don't know if you need to worry about Maurice Jones-Drew. I hope that's not your best option. Otherwise, God bless you. You need the help. And DJ Alterdonis asked, what's your approach when your defense is playing against a superstar offensive player? It could depend on the settings of the league. So, like if it's a league where some of your scoring is based off of yardage allowed, and I'm going against like my defense would be going to get somebody like Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers, or in usual cases Drew Brees, I probably would strongly consider not starting that defense because I know that that offense could put up a lot of yardage and quite an amount of points. And the worst thing you want is to have a team defense give you negative points in a week, because then you might as well just pull them out of the lineup and they would have done you more good than you actually putting them in the lineup. But if it's like a star running back or a star wide receiver, I don't so much worry about that. I worry more about the star quarterback than I do the wide receiver or the running back. I hope that answers your question. But thanks to all you guys that submitted your questions for this Q&A. Again, I'll be doing some videos up here soon. I'll be talking about E.J. Manuel getting benched by the Buffalo Bills, the Oakland Raiders firing Dennis Allen as their head coach. I'll be talking about the fact that while people want to blame Tom Brady, that there's a lot more to the story. And it's another guy with the last name beginning with B that should get the lion's share of the blame for how New England is. I'll be back Thursday for the next sports/fantasy football Q&A. Thanks for all you guys that submitted your questions. Thanks to all you guys that watch and support this Schleg Daddy TV channel.